let's move on to some Afghanistan talk. A lot's changed.
The talk
since
of the
last
town
week.
right now.
The talk of the town. It really is for the last few weeks. So as we mentioned last week, the Taliban's taken over just about the entirety of the country.
Yeah.
About like a business week after the U.S. started withdrawing troops.
Business week.
So there's been lots of critiques from the right and honestly from the left. We can if you watch
Specifically, like left media.
right, if you've watched like CNN, MSNBC, even they're kind of tearing into Biden.
Yeah. Let's keep in mind that they saw immense profits from just the war in general.
Oh yeah.
So they aren't really a trusted, reliable source when it comes to talking about these things.
Yeah, all the journalists that are crying that we're now leaving
the war
Afghanistan
journalists?
they're all the journalists that just were profiting off of covering all of the pain and suffering that happened over there for the last 20 years. So if you see that kind of nonsense, ignore it.
Facts. Yeah,
Ignore
just
it.
tell them to fuck off.
Yeah.
Reply to their tweets and be mean to them.
Be mean to them, like us.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. On Saturday, Biden did a speech. He delivered a speech saying that the evacuation of U.S. civilians and allies is going much better than it was before. And he plans to evacuate any Afghan that's worked with the U.S. that may be targeted by the Taliban. His remarks were pretty basic for a president withdrawing troops. Like, nothing was really that shocking insofar as what our troops are doing at the moment.
Yeah.
But I want to remind you, all this criticism that we've seen from the right, this withdrawal was a deal that was struck with the Taliban by the Trump administration, and it's been executed by the Biden administration.
Yes.
Like, none of this is like all of Biden's idea. It's just Biden executing on what Trump wanted to do. So when you see Trump talking about like, I would have done it much better, he's lying.
No.
He came up with the plan.
Like I said earlier, literal terms of the deal stated that we would not engage militarily with the Taliban.
Yeah.
It's a quagmire. I will give credence to the argument that yes, we could have done more to let other Americans out that are there. We could have done more to let translators out. We should have done more to let those people out. But it's a fucked situation right now.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Tough. It's tough. And I mean, like we said earlier, any president that did this was going to take an L.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
take it right on the chinny, bro.
Like, our involvement in Afghanistan at this point was already deeply unpopular with the entire country. And withdrawing troops in any manner that caused any amount of chaos, which it was going to do, was going to be very unpopular.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it goes. But the thing is that Biden's doing it in a way that people are going to forget about it come 2024 when he's trying to get elected. Nobody's going to care once we get to 2024.
Well, I'm sure Trump will be railing against him all the way until then. But also, it's like, it's just fucked in the way that if we were to do anything, we would just be continuing the status quo that we've been doing since the Obama administration, and we just go right back to drone strikes. We would rack up the 500,000 death toll. Mm-hmm. There's of just Middle Easterners alone, civilians and Taliban. 500,000. There are not 500,000 Taliban fighters, I can tell you that.
No.
And that is a conservative estimate because we also know that the CIA has covered up deaths and they've changed what counts as a civilian, like counting anyone over 15 as an enemy combatant in Fallujah and other things like that, because I'm pretty sure that's standard. So, do we really know how many civilians were died? Pulling out now just stops more untold death.
Yeah, and not only of the people that live there, but also our own soldiers that have been killed in the line of duty for no reason.
Yes.
Absolutely no reason.
Just for nothing. For some minerals, maybe?
Yeah, and look, they've been a volunteer army. Like, nobody was forced to go. No one was drafted. Yeah. I mean, some of them, a lot of them probably went, like, out of necessity because they couldn't afford college. And,
a lot of them literally went out of necessity.
Right. The recruitment process is predatory for young boys. Anyway, but my point is that, like, people probably weren't paying that much attention because the army was mostly volunteer. And, if you die when you volunteered, like, oh, you were giving your life for the country. Like, no, it's stupid. Nobody should have died because of this.
The media was so incredibly pro-war.
Oh, yeah.
They were framing it in a way that you needed to go over there. You needed to go over there and fight for your freedom.
Yeah.
Even though there had not been a massive terror attack on U.S. soil since 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think... Had there even been like a terror attack from a Islamist fundamentalist since then on American soil?
There's been terror attacks from white supremacists,
there's
domestic
been
terror
a lot.
attacks.
Las Vegas, the Capitol riots. There's been a lot more attacks.
The one
on
that was
American
in Colorado
soil.
at that Asian
Boulder.
spa.
Oh no, I'm thinking of just another shooting in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah, lots of hate crimes.
The white supremacist who went to a Walmart in a border state just to kill Mexicans.
Mm-hmm.
There's been
or
a
that
lot
kid
of...
in Kenosha that pulled up to a Black Lives Matter.
Yes, Kyle.
Protest.
Kyle, whatever the fuck his name is. And then conservative groups, church groups, raised $2 million to get him on bail.
Mm-hmm.
Like crazy, right?
Yeah, and I remember, this is off topic, but I remember back when Kyle Rittenhouse was
Kyle Rittenhouse, yes.
When he, I think, killed 2 people, injured 1 with some assault rifle.
Yeah.
People on the right in the media were saying that he should be the next president after Donald Trump.
Dude, no, he'll be at the RNC 2024. I know it.
Yeah.
I know he'll be
Yeah.
there. Just like how, God, the like suburban ass upper middle class ass white family.
Mm-hmm.
The I don't remember their names.
Who stood outside with the guns
Yeah.
and Black Lives Matter went by?
Yep,
Yeah.
they were just like marching by too. They're like
Yeah.
they were gonna come and rape my wife and kill my whole family. These black people.
Honestly,
and then they got to speak at the
honestly,
RNC.
maybe more Black Lives Matter protests need to just be in rich neighborhoods.
Oh, bro, facts.
Honestly-
that gets some coverage.
Yeah, that would get a lot of coverage. And honestly, like if people are really mad, outraged about whatever is happening during that time, take it to a rich neighborhood. Take it to the police
a
department.
gated community.
Yeah, like honestly, that's going to cause more outrage and get more attention than just a regular.
Kind of like it
protest.
did when they burnt down. Was it the Minneapolis 6th precinct? You remember that?
Did they burned down the 6th precinct? I don't remember that.
Shit was hard. It was
That's
pretty cool.
They burned down the entire city.
Oh, facts. Yeah,
That's what they were
BLM
saying.
was burning down cities, mind you.
Yeah. Speaking of terror threats, Biden said that Afghanistan right now does not pose a terror threat to the United States, but that organizations in other countries might.
Like Saudi Arabia,
Yeah. Which is like, oh
our
boy.
ally.
Yeah. Yeah, literally people that we ally with.
Saudis.
So,
our biggest ally in the region, other than I think Israel.
mhm.
Yeah.
So if you're cheering Biden on right now for this decision, which this decision is something that's needed to happen for a
Yeah.
very long time, just know that we're removing troops from Afghanistan so we can go somewhere else. Like the war machine never stops pumping.
Keep in mind, Osama bin Laden and I think 17 of the other people involved in the 9/11 hijackings were Saudis. Osama bin Laden is the son of a Saudi contractor that the U.S. hired to build their oil rigs. That's why he hated the U.S. so much, is because they were like engaging in it, which is also fucking crazy. Like Osama's a fucking crazy bastard,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But anyway, it's more on the Saudis, and then he took refuge in Pakistan.
Yeah.
He was in Afghanistan for a little bit fighting against the Russians when he was on our payroll. You know how that goes.
Back when we radicalized, boy.
Exactly. But we also see more modern attacks on U.S. citizens from the Saudis. I can't remember the journalist's name. Do you know who I'm talking about? Who was just executed by the Saudi government?
I can't remember his name either, but I know who you're talking
And
about.
then Trump had that gaffe when he was being interviewed about it where he said, look, we've got a big deal with the Saudis. We can't risk that. It's all for money. Like, they really don't care about any U.S. citizens'
Yeah,
lives.
Not at all.
It's just for the money. Because if they did care, we'd be punishing the Saudis for that.
Yeah, and I was going to mention this later on, but, you can say that a lot of people in this country were deeply had a lot of disdain towards our involvement in Afghanistan for a pretty long time, but we stayed there for so long because it was enriching all these military contractors and even politicians, so that's why they wanted to keep us there. They
Facts.
didn't do anything about it because they were making money. And if you don't understand that the military-industrial complex is all about making money, then you're insane.
Yeah.
It's not about patriotism. It's not even about protecting Americans. It's about making money for the contractors that want us to make money and the politicians that want to profit off of war.
Yes.
And little kids dying in the Middle East.
All the American contractors who charge, oh my God, I think a report came out showing that one contractor would charge like $1,000 for a bolt. Like a little bolt just to like screw in and hold things together. They'd grossly overcharge and we just let it happen because, they lobby Congress to let it happen. And it's fucking disgusting.
And just a reminder, if you're saying that like Afghanistan's a terrorist country and we need to stay there.
like that dude on Rocket League.
Right, that dude on Rocket League. The Trump administration's own Department of Homeland Security found that the greatest terror threat to U.S. citizens is from far-right and white supremacist domestic terrorists.
Thanks.
They found that during the Trump administration back in like
For reasons that
January
we
of
just
2020,
outlined.
or like maybe late 2020. But yeah, for reasons we just outlined, the threat to American security isn't really overseas or in any other country. It is here with people that tried to overturn an election back in January. Like, come on, open your eyes. Open your eyes. After Biden's speech, he got a couple of questions along the lines of like, why did we withdraw troops and cause chaos if no one was being attacked? And I want to just mention that no Americans being attacked was part of Trump's agreement to get us out of there. And Biden admits that he didn't honor the agreement. If he didn't honor the agreement, then more troops would have had to go into the region. They probably would have died.
Yeah, exactly.
Part of the agreement was that the Taliban doesn't attack any Americans, and then we will leave by May, and then Biden extended that deadline to September. Like that was just the deal that Trump made that, again, Biden was executing on. So I don't know why people are upset about this. And journalists are just asking stupid questions like they know the answer.
Oh, yeah. No,
they know the answer.
I also hate them.
Yeah.
They're all also just shills for the neoliberal establishment.
Yeah. And then Biden kept saying that the Afghan government and forces were not expected to collapse this quickly. And I don't know how he didn't expect this.
Yeah.
Because he said it previously in other press conferences before we started withdrawing troops, or back when he made that announcement in like July or whatever it was, that the Afghan government wasn't going to fall apart, or the government wasn't going to fall apart in general like it did in Vietnam when we left after 2 years. The South Vietnamese kind of collapsed. But it did in like a week. Like, and I don't understand how we didn't anticipate this, because a lot of Afghan soldiers stopped being paid after we started to leave.
Yeah.
They're not going to fight for nothing, and they're not willing to die to protect a U.S. puppet government that they never cared about to begin with.
Facts. And also, this Afghan civilians had a lot of disdain for U.S. people that were there.
Yeah.
You've seen reports of people who would join the Afghan forces to be trained by the U.S. just so that they could get access to guns and start shooting people on base.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'd leave and go home and be treated as heroes.
Yeah. Or they just join the Taliban.
Yeah.
Like an even further right organization from the Afghan government that we installed. Like, I don't know how we didn't anticipate this. Mm-hmm. We literally shoot ourselves in the foot every fucking time, and we never learn. And I'm telling you that we're not going to learn, because like I said earlier, everyone's going to forget about this by 2024, and we're just going to do it again in another country.
And it's like somehow Vietnam is the only country we've had imperial endeavors in that doesn't hate us.
Yeah.
Like, did not work out in the Koreas.
Yeah.
I guess South Korea, we're okay with them. Not North Korea, though, when we bombed all of their existing infrastructure. And it is not working out for Afghanistan. Even though the Taliban, as the new Afghani government, the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, they're trying to, like, play ball internationally and, like, clear their name. But I don't believe anything from them. Like, it's just, why would you?
And naturally, after we got done watching this Biden press conference, had to check out Tucker Carlson's segment.
Classic. Of course, you have to.
Have to see what the right wing is saying about this. And he immediately starts off with just ripping into Biden. Biden's senile and unfit to lead, and he's disabled. And I'm like, oh my God, calm down. Like, relax. You don't need to come in on Biden this hard. As soon as he was done with that, he basically admitted that it's not necessarily Joe Biden's fault that he can't think clearly. And I'm like, dog, relax. It's just straight up ableism at this point.
Literally, what are you doing?
Like, we know Joe Biden has a stutter. Like, calm down. Calm down.
Like, he's an old white guy. That's how our democracy works right now.
Yeah.
It's a gerontocracy.
And then after that, he goes on to say, this is a quote, "The U.S. military has just been embarrassed by illiterate peasants in turbans."
Holy fucking... Why you gotta add the in turbans part?
Yeah.
Why you gotta add
that? Matter? Like, I was shook that he's coming out the gate this hard.
No, he's been on some shit lately.
Yeah.
It all started with his take on teachers and critical race theory. He said we need to put cameras in every teacher's classroom now.
Yeah, and so this whole segment, which is about 10 minutes long, was basically about how Biden, quote, Biden's senior employees are contradicting him in public, which is like,
that happened all the time. It literally happens all the time with every administration.
As if this didn't happen to Trump regularly about every single issue.
Yeah, administrations are big.
Yeah,
and they vary.
Like Tucker Carlson and people like him literally just want us to annihilate the Taliban and stay there forever.
Oh, they just want us to bomb the shit out of the country. Which, I mean, it's the only solution, quote unquote, if you want to stop all bloodshed in the region, is just bomb the fuck out of everything. That's obviously not okay.
Yeah, no.
You obviously can't fucking do that.
Yeah. He's basically... Tucker Carlson said he kept getting upset, or, I mean, that was kind of like the part of the whole segment. He was getting mad that liberals and, like, places like CNN, MSNBC, like the liberal media, quote unquote, are turning against Biden since Afghanistan has been a failure, and they're like calling him out on it, ripping into him, which is like...
It's like, yeah, they make money off the war.
Yeah, that and like the president that you voted in made a bad decision, or at least is handling something poorly, you're going to criticize him. Like, what is with this idea of loyalty that right-wingers have, that it's like, you can't turn against people that you once supported, like with Ben Shapiro and Andrew Cuomo. Like, of course we're going to turn against someone when we find out they did something bad, or we disagree with what they're doing.
One, don't fucking idolize politicians. And two, it's like, yeah, I also voted for Joe Biden, sadly, but you hear me on here every week shitting on him.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah. And he was saying, like, CNN, MSNBC, they're the ones that made sure Joe Biden was in office. And it's like, yeah, they really did pander to him. But at the same time, you can criticize them if you want them. Like,
they really did make sure that Biden was in office when they rigged that shit against Bernie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they did. They definitely did. And, like, of course that you can criticize them for that. But also, they're allowed to criticize the president that they, like, petitioned for. The president they wanted.
Like Fox News, I'm sorry that you never criticized Trump for all the dumb shit he did all 4 years.
You don't gotta be constantly loyal.
And now he's shitting on you. Like, and all that love Fox News showed him, for him to just turn around and be like,
Yeah.
no, please go to Newsmax and OAN. They are much further right.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, the Patriots at Newsmax.
Patriots, yeah.
Tucker basically ended the segment by saying that vaccines don't work, our southern border has collapsed, kids aren't getting an education, and murder rates are spiking. Basically just like all of the talking points meant to scare middle-aged white women in the suburbs. That's basically all that was.
No.
Yeah.
But we got some other notable Tucker quotes from this week, right? He's been going off. Just so many sound bites, right? He said, when referring to the Taliban, they don't hate their own masculinity. They don't think it's toxic. They like the patriarchy. Some of the women like it too. So now they're getting it all back. So maybe it's possible that we failed in Afghanistan because the entire neoliberal program is grotesque and a joke. It's contrary to human nature. And it's like, hey, Tucker, I would agree that neoliberalism is dog shit, but I don't think we agree for the same reasons.
In this instance, Tucker is low-key just agreeing with the Taliban.
Yes.
Because like he hates it when we implement things like gender studies or we're pushing back against the westernized version of masculinity. Like he hates that stuff too. So in this instance, or really just always, he's agreeing with what the Taliban is doing. Like the Taliban is as far right as you can get. Like it's pretty far right.
Literal theocracy.
Yeah. And Tucker Carlson's agreeing. He's like, you know what? Maybe we should have a theocracy.
He said, yeah, it's actually, the Taliban didn't like us because of neoliberalism.
Yeah.
It's not because of their fucking religious ideas.
Yeah, they didn't
It's
like us.
not because of our meddling in the region. It's because they want girls to have an education. That's it. And that's wrong. He said that's wrong.
Yeah.
He said that shit's grotesque and wrong.
Like Tucker's insane. I don't know if he's always been this way and I never noticed, or if he's just fucking insane now. But dude has been going crazy.
No, bro, also, like, he admitted there's a patriarchy.
Yeah.
He said, I like that shit.
Uh-huh.
It's like, bro, I'm sorry you don't realize how the patriarchy hurts you.
Yeah. And I've seen lots of talk recently from really everybody that's been like pro-war.
Yeah.
Is that this is like a hallmark of the fall of the U.S. empire, that we failed in Afghanistan.
I mean, yeah.
And that we're going to continue to decline. Do you think that this is the start of the fall of the U.S. empire?
It's always been since World War II. Like,
Yeah.
we've economically been growing, but our power as a global hegemonic power has been diminishing.
Yeah, and-
we do not invest in our people. We do not invest in our infrastructure. All we invest in is the war machine. That's it. And then donations to other countries. Like, yeah, we have a fuck ton of money, but what do we really have to show for it?
Yeah.
We have a standard of living for those who are in the upper middle class, but for everybody else, they're thrown to the wolves.
For the
China,
49% of people that live
Yeah.
paycheck to paycheck.
as much as you want, you can say whatever you want about China. I really don't give a fuck. They invest trillions of dollars in their own infrastructure every year.
Yeah.
They have crazy infrastructure like goals. They've almost eliminated like radical abject poverty.
Yeah.
Like they're doing things. They're doing good things for some of their people. Like I have qualms with the Chinese government, like every government that there ever is. But we're not doing anything to help our status.
We can hardly get one infrastructure deal done every 10 years.
Literally.
And they're never even that big.
Oh my God. And it's literally just roads, some bridges, and some railroads.
Yep.
But it's not public transportation.
Never.
Like you can say what you want about. I saw this one great TikTok earlier about like, yeah, you can buy a house in Missouri for $100,000, but then you got to buy a car for everyone over 16 in your household.
Yeah.
Then you got to pay for all the expenses that come with the car. You got to pay for all the gas, and not being able to walk places is just kind of shitty. Like single family zoning laws, kind of shitty. Not just being able to like walk to a store. Cities in America, just a broader problem. Cities in America aren't designed to accommodate pedestrians, people with disabilities who have to wheel around, and people who have to walk around. They're designed to accommodate cars, and that's bad.
And that's a function of capitalism.
Oh,
That's literally a
100%,
function of the free market and massive industries or massive companies within the car making industry like GM lobbying to make sure that we don't implement more versions of public transportation for people to partake in. Because if they do, then they lose money. Less people have cars. GM loses their profits. But the point of the capitalist system is for them to never lose their profits and basically just have a stranglehold on the balls of Congress.
Exactly. And that whole thing just feeds into other things like environmental racism, where you see that someone has to drive maybe 20 minutes away to be able to get to the nearest grocery store, but instead they can't do that. They can't either afford to, they don't have the time to, so they have to shop fast food every night.
Yeah.
Like that is a direct consequence of just not being able to walk and get to things, because the fast food places, the shitty liquor stores are the only places in these communities you can walk to reasonably.
Yeah, and look, Afghanistan, what's happened in Afghanistan is just one example of the declining U.S. hegemony.
Yeah.
Like, we can't even overthrow the leader of Venezuela right now and install our own person. Venezuela's like nothing compared to us, at least in strength, in international strength. And we can't even overthrow their leader and implement our own like we would back in the 50s, which is a good thing, by the way. But it's something that we can't even do anymore. And slowly, the U.S. is deteriorating. And all of that deterioration is not felt on the wealthy, is not felt on politicians, but is felt on working class people. And the goal of these capitalists is basically to treat you like that of a frog in boiling water. They slowly turn up the heat, and you don't notice while it's going up. And every time that you feel some sort of pain, you think, well, if it gets too much worse, I'll revolt. If it gets too much worse, I'll get out of the situation. But you never do. And the water keeps turning on up. The heat keeps turning on up. And eventually you're boiling. And once you realize you're boiling and you're about to die, it is too late and you can do nothing about it. The point of these capitalists, their goal is to keep you in the water without you noticing that it's boiling.
100%.
That's the
and
point.
Even just to put it in less abstract terms, when you look at the workplace, it is in your best interest to work as little as you can and get as much money as you can. And it is in your boss's best interest to fucking squeeze the life out of you, to squeeze every bit of surplus labor value out of you just for their own gain, to put into their own pockets. We've seen it right now. There's a phenomenon in nursing and the healthcare industry called hire to fire. A lot of hospitals, hospital administrators will hire nurses fresh out of college and work them to fucking death over the course of 2 years so that they are so burnt out they have to quit. And they will continually do that by hiring new grads who need the experience.
Yeah.
It's predatory and disgusting.
Young workers in the workforce are continuously exploited.
Yeah.
Because they are cheap labor that is easy, that turns over easily, and there's always somebody that you can replace them with. And that is by design. Like, the system's not broken. It was meant to work that way.
100%. You see it with, like, internship culture. Like, the idea that you can't get a job without an internship, but internships aren't going to fucking pay you.
Or they pay you very little.
They pay you literal pennies. And it's like, I've seen the argument that, well, interns don't really add value to the company. Then why are you doing it?
Right.
Why are you doing it then?
Yeah.
Pay your fucking workers. They're literally adding value. They're doing a job. Pay them.
Yeah. Workplaces literally rely on interns to do the grunt work that nobody else wants to do.
Exactly. You're not going to function without your coffee, my guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You are literally addicted to caffeine.
And it's not even just coffee. A lot of the time, interns handle, like, all correspondence.
Yes.
And, like, who else is going to do that?
They literally do all the bitch work.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. And now we're seeing a phenomenon where people are starting to pay for internships. Have you ever heard of Global Experiences, the company?
Yeah.
Global Experiences, and then there's another one, Dream, some shit. It is, you go on the website, you pick what you want to do. I was fucking around on the website, right? So I picked, I was like, oh, let me get a political internship in Washington, D.C. Let me apply. You just get approved instantly, right? But here's the kicker. $10,000 is the price tag for the internship.
That's a semester of school.
Yeah. It's just to work. You're literally paying to work. Like, what kind of late stage capitalist hellscape is this? You know? And they have internships, like, you can get them in other countries, like Italy, fucking Germany, shit like that, and like capital cities, important cities. There's one in Paris, right? And you still have to pay $10,000, but that $10,000 does not include visa fees, food fees, and I don't know if it includes housing. Oh, some include housing, but I was reading testimonies, and this chick said she got placed with a couple in Paris, France, who just fought all the time.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like, there's not really screening to see who you're going to be with. It's like for-profit foster care homes that have an incentive to just get you with, like, any fucking person that's willing to take it, no matter how abusive they are, no matter how shitty they are.
You sign up for an internship, and you're immediately just tossed into the U.S. foster care system. I don't know. The question of, is the U.S. falling, I think, is one that is, like, kind of built on false pretenses, because you think of empires falling, you think of, like, one
Rome.
specific moment when that empire collapsed, one failure, one misstep. But with the U.S., I think it's going to be in a culmination of things over time, and by the time we get to the point where everyone's living in basically a hellscape, much worse off than they are now, it's going to be too late to do any reversal.
Well, it's like, I think the decline of the United States isn't even necessary. Well, it obviously is to the United States' own doing. They don't invest in the people at all, but it's more of just China being better. China being better at economics. Look, we've moved all our industry over there anyway.
Oh, yeah.
All of our industries are overseas. Again, it takes me back to the Trump rally where he made a point about how we take all these, like, foreign products. You don't ever see a Chevy in Seoul, South Korea. It's like, yeah, because American-made cars are dog shit, bro. Honda gang, rise up.
Yeah, exactly.
American-made cars are dog shit. It's ridiculous. All industries moving over there anyways, and if we don't do something about it, like, yeah, you will see a bigger decline in standard of living.
Right. And the U.S.'s decline is not because of, like, an influx of immigrants like conservatives want you to believe.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
literally our own fault.
Definitely not because of immigrants diluting the white vote.
Right,
quote
exactly.
unquote.
All of the crises that we have experienced and will experience moving forward, it's literally our fault. It's literally the U.S.'s fault. Like, these are preventable.
Like, bro, you could fix it. Passing the $3.5 trillion reconciliation package
That'd
without
get us
like
there.
adding much to it. That could help a lot.
Please fix democracy. Do something about climate change.
Yeah, no, that would help a whole lot. A whole lot.